Hello and welcome to phase 1 of how to burn that boring resume and write a kick-ass one. My name is Geeta. I am the founder of Second Chance Academy, and today we're going to teach you how to weaponize the strengths that you have so that employers and recruiters simply cannot overlook you. So let's get right into it. There is a lot of things that we can get away with avoiding in life if we really want to. But if you want to improve your life, get a new job, a job you actually really like, you're probably going to have to impress an employer at some point. And as charming as I'm sure you are, calling up the person you want to be your boss to see if they have any work going really isn't the best approach. You need to put your best foot forward. And that means a resume. Now, you might be thinking, I can't write a resume. I have nothing to put on there. Wrong. Yes, you do. A resume is just marketing. That's all it is. And if you don't feel good about saying nice things about yourself, I want you to think about every advertisement you've ever seen, ever. Was that jumper really the softest material you've ever touched? Was that burger really the best burger you've ever tasted? Did joining that gym actually change your life? No, probably not. But the person who was selling you that jumper, that burger, that gym membership, they didn't have any problem telling you differently. Why? Because that's marketing. You make your product sound better than all of the other products. You do the same thing when you write a resume. Now, I want to be clear. You do not outright lie on a resume because you could get in quite a bit of trouble for that, actually. That jumper they said was going to be the softest you've ever touched was really, really soft. It's just a matter of opinion as to whether it's the softest. It really depends what other kinds of materials you've touched. That burger they said was going to be the best you've ever tasted was really tasty. It's just a matter of opinion as to whether it's the tastiest. Writing a resume is no different. You talk up your positives. And believe it or not, regardless of your work experience or your education level, I guarantee you that we can put a resume together that is going to sound fan-flipping-tastic. So, let's do it. If you've downloaded the workbook that comes with this course, flip open to lesson 1. You will see a box filled with a whole list of words. They are all strengths. And if you're not using the workbook, then that's okay because that same list of words is appearing on the screen for you now. If you feel you need to, pause the video here and write this list of strengths down if you're not using the workbook. Now, for the purposes of this part of the course, we're just talking about personality traits. You know, the reasons that people like to have you around. I would say that I'm loyal, I'm tough, I'm intelligent, I'm really great at talking to people, and I have a big heart. If I was going to translate into something that I could put on my resume, I would say loyal equals loyal, tough equals resilient, great at talking to people equals communication, and big heart equals empathetic. Sometimes you're going to want to change those words up a little bit so they're more employer friendly, and sometimes they work the way that they are. In order to know when to change a word and when it's already working, put yourself in the shoes of your potential employer. Ask yourself, what matters to them? What are they looking for? Are they going to care that I'm tough? Well, that depends. Does that benefit them? Well, yes, it does. It's going to benefit them because I'm going to keep showing up to work on time every day, even if I'm having a bad day, whereas someone else might chuck a sickie. So instead of writing tough, I'm going to write resilient because they mean similar things, but resilient appeals more to my employer because it's more related to what my employer wants. Do you see how I took a skill, a personality trait that I already have, and I marketed it towards my employer? I didn't lie, I didn't make things up, I just marketed it so that it would entice my employer into hiring me. Now, if you're not sure how to change a word that describes you into a word that your employer is going to like more, then don't worry because I have the cheat sheet for that as well. It's called Google. Open up Google and type the word tough plus the word synonym into Google. Now, for those of you who do not know, a synonym is a word that is similar to the word you're searching up, but it's a little bit different. If you didn't already know that, you should write it down somewhere because that's a good word to know. So when you go to Google and you type in tough synonym, it's going to come up with a whole lot of words that are related to the word tough. Durable, resilient, indestructible, determined, sturdy. All of these words are a different way to say tough, but not all of these words mean the same thing. For example, durable and indestructible are talking about the strength of a building or a material of some sort. So you don't want to use any of those words because while they do have a similar meaning to the word tough, they're not quite the right word to describe yourself. It would just make you look a bit silly. However, resilient and determined are really great words to pick. Now, my best advice here is not to use any words that you don't already know the meaning of. A lot of people use this trick and then fill their resume with words they think sound really great, but they don't actually know the meaning of. Do not do that. That is the quickest way to become the guy that everyone hates in every conversation because they're always using really long words when it's not relevant and not necessary and no one knows what they're talking about, not even him. So stick to the words you know the meaning of. Or if you really like a word and you're pretty sure you know what it means, but you're not quite sure, just Google the definition. When in doubt, always double check. Now, you will notice in the workbook that I have written a long list of strengths, and just underneath each strength, I have written a short note about how you will know if you have that strength. Take a look at them. Which ones do you think apply to you? Now, a lot of people have strengths that they don't even realize they have, which is why I wrote down that short note about how you will know if you have that strength. And believe me, it really is as simple as what I wrote down. Don't overthink it. If you know that you'll show up to work on time, you are reliable. If you're good at listening to people when they're explaining things, then you are attentive. Pause the video here while you have a think about it. Highlight or underline any of the strengths that you think you are. If you're not sure what your strengths are, that's okay. Ask a friend, a family member, or a coworker. What strengths do they think you have? Why do they like having you around? You may have to get creative with the way that you transfer those strengths to your resume so that they appeal to your employer. For example, if you're a funny person, you very likely use that humor as a way to build relationships with people and get to know them. After all, who doesn't like to laugh? So if you hear from your friends and family that you're funny as a strength, don't write down funny, write down rapport building. Rapport building just means you have the ability to build relationships with people. And I don't mean romantic relationships. I just mean professional working relationships that are positive. Get it? Good. So if people tell you strengths that you don't think will be desirable to your employer, ask yourself, how do you use those strengths in everyday life? How do those strengths benefit you? Because if they benefit you, then they're very likely going to benefit your employer in one way or another. And then you will come up with an answer that you can use on your resume, like how being funny makes you good at rapport building. Just make sure that you're thinking about how you can best sell that strength to your employer. How does that strength benefit your employer? How can you let them know that strength will benefit them by changing the way you're describing it? Or does that strength already obviously appeal to your employer, like communication, for example? When you come up with a strength that describes you, write it down in the box on the next page of your workbook. Or if you're not using the workbook, write them all down on a notepad or a spare piece of paper, but just make sure that you're keeping all your notes from this course together in the one place so that when you need them all again, they're easy to find. Do not rush this process. You can always come back later and add more if you like, but give yourself the time that it takes. And if you're starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable because you're looking at the words that you're writing down to describe yourself and you think that makes you sound really, really good and you're not sure if you can measure up to that, guess what? You're on the right track. Do not cross those words off your list because that means you've done it right. If you found this lesson helpful at all, make sure you pay it forward by sharing this lesson with a friend, a family member, a coworker, anyone you know who you think could benefit from it too. I'll see you in the next lesson when we are going to talk about skills, which I know sounds very similar to strengths,
but you'll soon see why they're different. See you there.